What's up, my friends? Here we go. We are concluding Gavin Newsom's week-long I'm Buying Your Vote tour today with the $100 billion budget announcement, surplus announcement. We're going to be talking about that in just a second, so stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. Here we go. Actually, we're going to start early.
Research and development, the opportunity to push the boundaries as it relates to a regulatory construct that supported risk-taking but not recklessness, and an open immigration policy where, as some have suggested, we were able to get first-round draft choices, the best and the brightest from around the rest of the world. That formula for success foundationally is what we want to reinvigorate.
So Gavin actually started early, guys, and we're going to go ahead and just cut right in. Let's see what he has to say.
Stated is not only coming back, but comes roaring back. Let's jump right into the California budget proposal for the fiscal year ending 2022. A balanced budget we are submitting to the legislature of $267.8 billion, a general fund of roughly $197 billion. I am pleased to announce that this budget builds on a strong fiscal foundation, one that allows us to set aside even more resources for reserves, now record high reserves, $24.4 billion. You'll see referenced in slides.
Maybe because the taxes are so high.
In the rainy day fund, a school stabilization reserve. This is remarkable. $4.6 billion in our school stabilization reserve. You may recall just a few years ago, there was no money, there was no reserve.
Professor,
in fact,
I agree.
Someone speculated we would never see reserves in that account. We're setting aside $4.6 billion in that school stabilization reserve. You'll see the operating reserve at $3.4 billion and a safety net reserve of $450 million. $24.4 billion, the highest reserves in states' history. We're doing something few other states in the nation have done. We're using general fund to pay down long-term obligations to STRS and PERS, unfunded health care pension liabilities, long-term liabilities. These retirement liabilities.
Yeah, exactly. Neighborhood cat lady. It's government money. It's high tax money.
To pay
all that
down
stuff,
these liabilities. $3.4 billion in the next fiscal year, and then $7.9 billion over the budget period, that 3-year period that we'll be talking a lot about in this budget presentation. So highest reserves in states' history, and using portions of the surplus, which I'll announce in a moment, to pay down long-term obligations, retirement liabilities, to a degree that I think few other states can lay claim. In fact, I don't think there's any other state in the nation that's committed anywhere comparable in terms of general fund support to pay down long-term debt, long-term retirement liabilities. This $100 billion comeback plan, the budget, of course, being larger, but $100 billion.
Yes, he is, String Bean. That's exactly right. Buying your vote, baby.
The taxpayers as it relates to an operating surplus, which I'll highlight in a moment. And
buying your vote.
Stimulus totaling about $27 billion. That $100+ billion comeback plan is the biggest economic recovery package, period, full stop, in California history. It's predicated and foundationally on a number of key areas, though this by no stretch of the imagination, the totality of the investments or even the presentation that I'll offer today, but it's built on themes that we've been highlighting.
Hey, thanks for being here, guys. Just want to quickly say, since we started a little late, I appreciate you guys. Oh, actually, I should mute the volume over there. Hold on.
Been most impacted by.
What's up, you guys? Thanks for being here. Really appreciate you guys. Gavin Newsom uncharacteristically started on time. Usually he has a parade of people that come out and sing his praises. That didn't happen this time. So, hey, we got to improvise. We jumped right in. What he's doing right now is giving us the way that he's going to buy your vote. So here we go.
Our public education system, more on that in a moment. Investments, historic investment.
And how he's going to waste all this money, by the way, I should mention, because California just burns up money on things, and the solutions are all usually nonsensical and don't work. Anyhow, let's see what he's got to say.
Drought and so much underlying challenges this state, this nation, the world we're living in face around the issue of climate change. Let's talk about the immediate relief package. Close to $12 billion, the largest state tax rebate in American history. No state, including this state, has ever rebated more direct dollars back into the pockets of taxpayers, earning up to $75,000. 2 out of every 3 Californians will receive at least a check of $600 once they file their taxes. This is a good inducement and incentive to file your taxes on Monday to get a direct stimulus check directly back if you're in that income bracket. Roughly 2 out of 3 Californians are. 78% of all tax filers, close to 80% of tax filers, will be eligible for that direct relief. Families with dependents will receive an additional $500, just one time, not per child, $500 check, and I-10 filers, regardless of their immigration status.
Free money, baby.
receive
More
an additional
free money not
$500
to
as
work.
well. For one
There we
reason,
go.
it's the right thing to do, and the federal government was not able to provide those supports. The state of California will step in to do what we can. We are also providing, and I want to just thank incredible leadership of Senator Dodd and work that was done by David Chu, Bob Hertzberg, many others, to work through a process to develop a strategy to provide 100%, our commitment and our proposal to pay 100% of people's back rent for the last year or so, and to provide supports going forward for the next few months or so, and help support them by paying down their utilities, past due water bills, power and electric, power/electric and gas bills as well. So $2 billion of relief in that space. $1 billion of that $2 billion directly set aside to deal with water bills. The $5.2 billion federal dollars coming in to support.
You notice he said
renters.
federal
Again,
dollars. So this is all
cannot
bailout
thank
money from
leadership,
the Biden
Assembly and Senate
administration.
enough for the work they did on the first $2.6 billion of this $5.2 billion package. We have more work to do to get from 80% to 100%. That's what we're proposing in this budget and proposing to the legislature. We're adding the $2 billion of direct relief for additional support.
Neighborhood cat lady, it's the majority. In California, the top 1%, I think, pays way over 50% of the taxes. The number, we have the highest poverty in the nation. So the number of people that are below that line is huge because of that. I mean, it is, you said socialism. I mean, it is essentially a welfare state right now.
Provide traffic fine forgiveness. A lot of debt that has been owed for fines and fees associated with traffic fines. This is for low-income Californians.
Oh, man, I should have been speeding more.
And we believe, deserve the benefit of these supports considering the stress and the travails of the last year. These are for tickets going back even pre-pandemic, but through
Damn, I had no idea. If I knew that.
June 30th.
If I knew that, I would have been driving a lot faster. No, I don't think I would qualify. But anyway.
Ultimately manage this program. They'll be
funny.
putting out rules and regulations once the legislature considers this proposal and hopefully adopts and supports that proposal. Issues, again, pre-existing issues that obviously drive a lot of intensity and passion, understandably, and frustration, anger in this state. Issues of homelessness. We announced earlier this week, and I'm reminding each and every one of you that this is not a modest commitment to address the issue of homelessness in the state. This is simply without precedent. Put it in perspective, this is a 2-year commitment. Last year, we had an historic budget investment of about $1.3 billion. You can see a multiple of that over the next 2 fiscal years that we're proposing to get 65,000 people off the streets and placed into support. That's significant. 65,000+ placements. In fact, I say plus because it actually is closer to 68,000 based upon our current modeling and analysis. $7 billion building off the successful Home Key, which has become a national model. You may have seen that the Biden administration identified Home Key as a best practice national model. They put up $5 billion nationwide. State of California is committing $7 billion, building off broadly the proposal in the framework.
DB Dan, I think that's a good plan. Take the money and run.
Effort to procure units and to transition people off the streets, sidewalks, and shelters into homes or into units. We were able to set aside $846 million last year with the incredible leadership and support of the Pro Tem Speaker and others. That allowed us to procure 6,000 housing units in 6 months. 6,000 housing units in 6 months in escrow, people in units. We want to build on that program, $846 million last year. We want to significantly increase this, hotel, motel conversions, more flexibility across the spectrum, not just hotels and motels, other strategies as well. We anticipate broadly with this $7 billion, 46,000 units can be procured and brought into portfolios in communities large and small, all up and down the state of California. We have about $1.75 billion of housing that's ready to be built, that is ready to go. It's just backlog, waiting for some financing at HCD. This is the backlog that we can unlock, and we're committing $1.75 billion to do that. These are zoned, entitled units that can get moving, and these are on the spectrum.
Yeah, that's right. Heather Cliff, let me just mention that. So I talked about that on my video, the GAN limit. It's something from the 1970s, basically, that said that when you have this surplus, you have to give it back. On the last live feed, Gavin was funny, man, because someone asked him about it, and he was like, oh, yeah, 99% of people don't even know what that is. I don't really need to talk about it. I mean, the guy just, the pandering and, you know, the condescending way that he talks to everyone and thinks that everyone's basically dumb is, it's just wild. But that's what we have here in California.
Homelessness, a lot of individuals with behavioral health issues related to those that are self-medicating with drug and alcohol addictions. These create more challenging opportunities for the state, and we are setting aside some more specific resources to direct in that area, as well as resources to transition from the extraordinarily successful project Room Key, distinctive from Home Key. The Room Key provided supports for just shy of 36,000 individuals over the course of the pandemic. A little over 9,200 people now currently getting the support of Room Key. We want to begin to transition people from Room Key, create other opportunities across the spectrum, and that's the $150 million there. We recognize that not all homelessness is the same. One size does not fit all. Chronic single adults out on the streets and sidewalks and encampment, that's a very different issue than issues related to family homelessness. Our goal is to actually establish a framework and goal, and that's to end family homelessness in the state of California. We actually have some good data. We put out a new database, new data system a number of months ago that allowed us to analyze for the first time databases locally and nationally, and compare and contrast and make a determination and actually have a numeric number that allows us to establish this goal with some confidence that we can achieve the results that we intend. We
so
also
guys,
are looking to provide supports not just on new
let's
homeless
turn Gavin
housing,
down a little bit.
but also focus on prevention, which is foundational in this space, like rent support, but other prevention.
So guys, basically Gavin laying out the plan. A lot of this driven by, in my opinion, number one, the GAN limit, which means he's got to give back a lot of this money constitutionally. Number two, there's a recall election coming, folks, and Gavin wants to buy your vote. So he's giving out all kinds of money to a lot of people. Also, a lot of this money's Fed bailout money. So you know, it's not money that comes here from California, but you know, we do have the highest taxes in the country all across the board, and so a lot of, you know, this is basically just tax money, wealth redistribution, disguised as, you know, Gavin coming out and saying that he's such a nice guy. So don't be fooled.
At the end of the day, that is determinative. The state of California is supporting these local efforts. We want to regionalize, and we want to make sure that
right. So that's really what's going on here.
Transparent accountability at all levels.
That's what's going on, folks.
These investments. We are working with Senator Skinner, among many others, on language around accountability. We look forward to socializing that as our negotiations take shape.
And the homelessness, by the way, guys, I will say,
working through the issue of addressing homelessness in our state. And speaking of working through, let us be sober and mindful. I took the entire state of the state last.
Okay, so the homelessness situation, guys, is so bad in California, and you know, throwing money at the problem without the right solution is not going to help, because the thing is, a lot of people have said that the money is not the problem. California's got plenty of money. We have the highest taxes. We have the revenue. The problem is how the money is being spent. Especially on the homeless side, it's literally just being burned. I mean, the amount of money they spend on these housing units. I read one study that they're putting up housing units in Venice that cost like $750,000 per unit. Give me a break, man. I mean, I'm in real estate. I could build little houses for a fraction of that cost for people. You don't need to spend $750,000. I mean, you might as well like buy these people a condo, buy them a house. It's absurd. And so the money's just being wasted. The money's being pretty much just set on fire. And that's what's going on here in the state.
Investment in addressing what was dismantled decades ago, and that's $3.5 billion of new housing in beds, board and care, adult and senior care, as well as beds that will allow for conservatorships. Remember, we signed a number of bills last year, working very collaboratively with the legislature on conservatorships, Laura's Law, and expanding the capacity for local
it's just
government
nutty how,
to leverage people into treatment.
How we're
care.
buying the vote here. And I think a lot of people actually know. I'm checking out the stream on
is historic,
on YouTube. Hold on one second.
Give hyperbole. You'll hear those words to describe much of what I'm going to present today, because those words are the best way to describe the unprecedented nature of these investments. So these are long-term commitments. This won't happen overnight, but this is building off of a lot of the strategies and plans we know are effective. Resources have been the issue, but our resourceful mindset will not be an impediment. And speaking of resourceful mindset, I just want to remind people, this was in the January budget.
I'm going to mute this one because we'll talk about it in a sec. But thinking impaired, no need to spend $750K, especially when they can be relocated elsewhere for less money than Venice real estate. Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's like, we're taking a parking garage in Venice, we're repurposing it's an expensive real estate into housing for homeless at like $750. That was a conservative estimate. Some people said it was even going to be more. To repurpose that to homeless housing, and it makes no sense. I mean, $750,000 for homeless housing units. I mean, are you out of your mind? And yes, he is. So it's really just nutty. The interesting thing for me is this government. Let's talk about a couple things right now. This government basically just has the mission to spend as much money as possible, throw money at the problem, and that's the answer. And clearly it isn't, as we just saw with inflation. The inflation numbers coming out, I talked about that the other day on the YouTube video, and all of the things that are happening with economic policy. And so it's insanity that this administration, and I look at Biden and Newsom, very similar, and both of these administrations are spending as much money as possible without any repercussions or ramifications that are going to come down the line. And I think for these guys, a lot of it is, hey, we're not going to be here, so we're just going to kick the can down the curb to someone else. So pretty bad on that note. What he's talking about now is mental health, transforming the mental health system. A lot of things there. By the way, one thing he hasn't talked about yet, and I am curious to see what happens. The CDC, interestingly, the CDC, a couple days ago said we're in for a crisis with COVID. And then the next day they said, forget it. Everything's fine. Pandemic's over. You could take the masks off. So clearly they're following the science, because as of yesterday, the pandemic was over and you could take your masks off. I did a little poll on YouTube. Most of you said that you never wore a mask to begin with. So it doesn't really affect you. But anyway, interesting stuff. We're going to see how California reacts to that, how Gavin Newsom reacts to the mask, the lifting of the mask mandate by the CDC. We'll see if he adjusts California as well, because he just said he wasn't going to do it, then he said he was. So it's inconsistent leadership, if you can call it that. Let's take some more comments. So let's see. Etienne, welcome to the show here. All homeless living in my street during the pandemic are now gone, so I see results. I think they relocate people because the homeless population is going up. It's not going down. And so if they're not near your house, they may have been relocated, things like that. So, which is what DB Dan says, yes, relocate them. Okay. And Heather Cliff, yes, so this is a huge issue right now. Biden gave $235 million back to Palestinians. So this is an aid program that Donald Trump cut. Biden reinstated it. And yes, they're using the money, Heather Cliff, they're using the money for humanitarian aid and to help improve their economic situation, meaning they're going to send rockets to Israel. Now, some governors, Heather Cliff, I will tell you, if you look, Ron DeSantis in Florida, Greg Abbott in Texas have both come out and said they stand with Israel. Gavin, no such thing of the sort, because he likes to pander to his voters. And, people in Israel are not his voters. So it's really crazy what not only the administration is doing, but also not only the Biden administration, but also Newsom with all of this stuff. So Reva says, I was at Target not wearing a mask, refused to wear them. Yeah, 100%. I mean, look, at this point, I think unless you're in a hospital where they'll make you, I was just in a hospital yesterday. My son broke his wrist falling off a scooter, and they make you wear them there. Although the crazy part is when we went inside the room, the doctor was like, I'm vaccinated and so are you, so you don't need to wear it. I think they're still making you wear them on planes from what I hear, but everywhere else, just do what you're going to do. No big deal. All right, let's check in with Gavin. We haven't checked in on him in a while. Let's see what he's talking about.
1,500 jobs, just 531 state jobs to oversee this. The vast majority of these are jobs for people coming
Fred G, he's not getting any better. He just doesn't want to be recalled.
People coming out of homelessness, at-risk youth. We want to build on so many of the successful models, local models. As a former mayor, we had a number of them. Every city, most cities, at least well-managed cities, have effective programs for beautification and youth programs, and we want to incentivize through grant funding.
JG, because the weather's nice, the beach is beautiful, it's always sunny in Venice Beach, California. I mean, that's the place to live. Why not?
So we want this $1.5 billion
come on. Have you seen pictures of Venice?
Those matching strategies.
JG, it is crazy.
We really believe
crazy.
That what makes California
Venice is just insane. Oh, Fred, sorry about that. I didn't put two and two together. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. The story is actually kind of, well, it's not funny, but the story is wild. He was on one of those scooters, the little 9-bot scooters that are like the bird scooters with his girlfriend on the back, and they bailed, and so he tore up his whole arm, and he thought his wrist was sprained. We went to the doctor yesterday, and it's actually broken, so he's getting a cast on today. And there you go. And yes, Fred G, Newsom is a joke, for sure. Neighborhood Cat Lady asked, what's he doing for small businesses? He does have part of this package. There is some small business relief. I don't know exactly how you get it. I don't know what it entails. Lots of talk for now. I mean, we'll see. So let's see. Let's check in on Gavin, see what he's talking about now.
Billion is not the totality of our housing budget. You noted that 1.75 that was specific to low-income housing that I put in the homeless bucket. It's north now. You add those together, $3.5 billion. Just wanted to give you some additive numbers here, and as it relates to the May revise in specific detail.
Yeah, Heather Cliff, that's what's happening. I mean, Skid Row is basically now all, I mean, it's Venice Beach. So,
it's the reason we had to sue one of our cities.
JG talked about Venice Beach. I mean, Venice Beach is a disaster. I don't know if you guys have seen the photos
supply and demand. It's
of Venice Beach, but it is insanity there. There's a video of some folks fighting and all this stuff, and I mean, it's just, you can't take your family there, and you can't go there by yourself.
Delay and abuse, candidly, of the process and system, and so we have an accountability unit that.
DB Dan says we need to ban scooters. My wife is like, since he got this thing, she hated it, but it's like, what are you gonna do, man? Look, kids are gonna be kids. Kids want to have fun. They want to go ride around on scooters. Heck, I mean, We rode bikes, we rode skateboards, we snowboarded. I still snowboard. So it's going to happen, unfortunately. But yeah, we told him no scootering with your girlfriend on the back. She's got her own scooter. You have her use her own scooter. And Heathercliff, that guy's videos are great. Well, they're not great, but they show German in Venice, and he documents kind of what's going on in Venice. Insanity.
Real quality of life benefits, consistent with many of the pre-existing strategies that have predated my tenure here as governor that have been advanced. We want to also preserve affordable housing. There's about $300 million of this budget is around preserving affordable housing that's about to lose its covenants, these 30-plus year covenants that are due to expire. That affordable covenant expires, and they can convert to market rate housing. We want to buy a lot of that back. It's incredibly important in a preservation strategy. That's part of the preserving affordable housing line item. Home ownership, ADUs. We did a lot on ADUs. I want to thank the legislature, Phil Ting, and our pro tem, Tony Atkins, so many others that were instrumental in advancing the ADU legislative package.
So California actually has made ADUs a little bit easier to get approved for. If you're not familiar with that, let me tell you what that is. ADUs are accessory dwelling units. So if you have like a garage in the back that you want to convert, or if you have an extra shed in the back, or you just want to build a second unit in the back, California has made that a little bit easier. So, see, we give credit where credit is due. Let's tune into this because this is about school, which is a hot topic for me.
Just in January, by $17.7 billion, the education budget in this state. This is just simply without precedent. Let's take a look and unpack what that means. That $93.7 billion by
Oh, that's funny. I didn't mean to do that. I put myself right over Gavin.
Money, $15.3 billion. Does not include money that we're likely to put in under the GAN limit.
Hey, Ko-Adar, thank you so much. Let me give you a round of applause. Thanks for being here first time on the stream. I appreciate you.
That is
and thanks for the kind comments there. We try to give you the real deal on what's going on.
$1 billion, and you'd see that number north of $100 billion. But that.
And then we're going to talk about education. This is a hot topic for me. Remember, not only did Gavin close the schools, but most of them are still closed. Kids in California cannot go to school, a lot of them.
In public per pupil investment is this year. $14,000 is now where we are per pupil. Just compare that to 10 years ago. It was a little over $7,000, close to double in the last decade per pupil investment based upon that conservative number of 93.
So watch these numbers, and then we're going to talk about this. This is a hot topic. Hot topic.
The federal dollars, if you include the money that's actually going to K through 12 education this year, under the basis of this formula, you add that 15.3, the per pupil gets to $21,000. I never thought I'd be able to say that. We've long talked about reaching that 20,000 per pupil threshold, but that again is that one-time investment coming from the federal government. Purposes of this slide, this presentation, you'll hear from finance. You can go through the details with Keely and her team, and I'll brag on them at the end of this presentation. But for the purposes of just providing some clarity and conservative conviction to these numbers and backing them up, 14,000 per pupil. We are providing a 5.07% cost of living adjustment. That's base.
So guys, the public education system, this is a hot topic. I mean, this gets me really, really heated because, our public education system in California sucks. There's really no other way to put it. And they closed the schools down. The unions are right in Gavin's pocket. So you'll notice he'll never say anything bad about the unions or the teachers' unions because those are the ones that are supporting his campaign. I'm sure they'll throw a ton of money into the recall effort. And so what does it matter that they're spending all this money when it's all being wasted? The public education system here sucks. The teachers don't, I won't say the teachers don't want to work. I actually think, I know a lot of teachers, they want to go back to work. The unions are really the problem. And Gavin will never do anything about that because those are the ones funding the Democratic Party. And so any candidates that basically say no to that or go against the unions don't get any support from these folks. So, like, look at all this money, guys. Look at all of this money. Billions of dollars going to what? Not the right place, not doing it the right way. It is really a sad state of affairs as far as schooling is concerned. You know that most kids in California still cannot go back to school. It's madness. They're making kids wear masks. Even my kids go to private school. They're making them wear masks at school. Why? Like, kids, this virus, kids aren't affected by it for the most part. The mortality rate, I mean, it's absurd when you look at the numbers, and then they're still making kids wear masks. I mean, give me a break. Let's check in.
Real results. There's a reason we spell out high-dose tutoring.
Before we do, JG, so watch out, they'll make vaccination mandatory. Let me tell you guys a quick story about this. So we got an email from our school that said that 12 to 15-year-olds are now eligible for vaccines. And you should get them because, we don't know what's going to happen next year. That is a precursor to you got to have the vaccine to come to school. I will tell you that kids, listen, it's all personal opinion. This is what I always try to say. This is why we're in America. If you want to get the vaccine, get the vaccine. If you don't want to get the vaccine, don't get it. But you can't, don't be forcing other people to get it. The other thing I don't understand is if the vaccine is effective, which I'm not saying it's not, but if the vaccine's effective, why do you care if someone else has it, right? If you have it and it's effective, then what do you care? You'll be fine. If someone else doesn't want to get it, then let them not get it. But no, the progressive left has to have it both ways. Not only do they have to have it, but they want to dictate what you do with your stuff. And it's just BS, total nonsense. So I'm not going to stand for the kids stuff. I personally, and look, I'll give you my opinion. I personally don't understand why kids need the vaccine. I think, JG, you just said the same thing. When you look at the numbers, kids don't get it. They don't transmit it. It doesn't really affect them, very, very small numbers. So why do I need to put some vaccine in my kid's body that, it's an experimental vaccine still? Look, and someone told me the other day, oh, but what about all the vaccines they get as kids? Those things have been around for, 10, 20, 30, 50 years, tested, proven, and even sometimes those have side effects, right? So all I'm saying is, don't force me to do anything with my kids. Those are my kids. I can make those decisions. And we are going to be, as a lot of you guys know, we're looking at other places as far as where to live. And one of the criteria is, those vaccine passports and mandatory at schools can't be part of it, which is why, Texas is definitely something that we're looking at for sure. All right, let's check back in. Sorry, the school thing and vaccine thing, very, very big on my radar here.
Remember, McCarty, so many others, the speaker himself would say no greater investment we can make than investing in our kids, investing in them early on. We talk often about the achievement gap. I have always countered it's not an achievement gap because that assumes people have been left behind. It's not that they're left behind always. It's so often, more often, that they start behind. It's a readiness gap, and that's why I've been a strong supporter, been crystal clear in my advocacy for years and years as a former mayor, as a candidate for office, now 28 months in as governor of California, and advancing the cause of universal preschool, advancing now the cause with more formality to create a new grade. We are creating a new grade in the state of California, TK, universally, regardless of your income. You will be provided that opportunity. It will be fully implemented over the next number of years. You see the numbers, $900 million this fiscal year, up to $2.7 billion, 2024, 2025. You can see the numbers of individuals that will benefit from this. By the way, the benefit of TK is an additional 3 hours of instruction, not just high quality support. This is extraordinary. I personally just, this enlivens me.
I can't listen to this guy
because
talk. It's just,
I was hoping to get this done as governor over the course of a full term. The idea that we're 28 months in, if we get this proposal through the
he really
Assembly and
does.
Senate,
So Fred says
many
he
great
talks like
champions
we're
there.
kids. I mean, he does.
We
He
can actually
panders to
produce this
everyone,
result.
and he
even
The
sooner and get the ball
condescending
rolling
way
in a
that he
very
talks to
meaningful way to
everyone
change the trajectory
is
of our
like,
young kids'
he's here to
life. By the
protect us
way,
because
can't
everyone
do
is
that
so dumb
without
they
recognizing, as
can't
my
do it
wife
themselves.
often reminds me, of the
But the sad
impacts
part is, you
of
guys.
all of these
Okay,
proposals
so most of you, let me mute
and
this
how
for
they're
one sec.
disproportionate.
Most of you on this stream, I think, kind of agree with me. But the sad part is that most Californians love this stuff. They eat it up. I mean, they want Gavin to tell them what to do. They want Gavin to close the schools and tell them to wear 5 masks and stay home. I mean, they are terrified about going outside. I have family members that can't wait for Gavin and Fauci to tell them what to do. I mean, to me, it's like, it's just insanity, especially as, coming from a family of immigrants who came from a communist country to America to have freedom and personal liberty, to then have these folks telling us what to do and stuff and what vaccines to take. I mean, it's just madness.
As it relates to those 100,000 new slots. And so I just include.
Heather Cliff, thank you for that. I appreciate that. That's what we try to do. I mean, we definitely want to be our kids' advocates and, teach them, by the way, to think for themselves. We try not to push stuff onto our kids. We feel like we've always talked to our kids like they're grown-ups. We've never talked to them like they're babies. And we want them to learn to think for themselves and analyze situations. So we actually... and that's one of the things we do. This is totally off topic, but I'll give it to you anyway. One of the cardinal rules at my house is we all have dinner together and there's no technology at dinner. So the phones stay over there. We have dinner. All of us, obviously, hey, there are times when our kids are sleeping out or at parties or whatever. But if we're home, we're all having dinner together. Call it, my traditional Russian values. And there's no tech, and we sit down and we talk about stuff. And, we ask them, like, hey, how do you guys feel about this? What do you guys think about, the vaccine for kids? How do you feel about it? Do you want to get it? Do you not want to get it? And they ask us questions. And so, I think that's what it's all about, not doing what a guy like Newsom does, which is basically just, condescending, pandering to everyone. So it is definitely madness. And Heather Cliff, here's the right question, right? When did we allow politicians to decide what's best for us? Well, and you're right, we allow it. Remember, politicians are elected by the people to represent the people in this country. We allow it. And the people have allowed it, right? So like you had another comment here that said, what happened to rational thinking adults? You know what happened to rational thinking adults? I'm going to tell you, this is my personal opinion. I think what happened to rational thinking adults is, number one, the indoctrination of certain ideologies in school, starting from an early age, which happens in a lot of these, institutions going all the way to college. And secondly, the whole situation with the media. Because the media went from, and the journalists went from kind of telling you the story and allowing you to decide for yourself, to telling you the conclusion, telling you what to believe, telling you how to think instead of, telling you what to think instead of just telling you the story and telling you objectively what's going on and allowing you to come up with your own conclusions. They don't do that anymore. And so all of these folks, all of these adults that tune in blindly, and I will say blindly either way. I mean, I'm really referring to, like, for example, CNN, which I think is unwatchable, but you tune into that thing, you're going to get brainwashed pretty fast. And then you get into the situation of being in an echo chamber where everyone's agreeing with you and all you see is the same stuff over and over again. So I think that's the situation. And Heather Cliff said those used to be American values. Yeah, I mean, listen, that's how I grew up. I mean, I grew up, we always had family dinners together. And obviously there was no tech because it didn't exist. And we sat around and talked to each other. And now I will tell you, like, it's crazy to me, when we have my kids' friends come over, a lot of times my kids tell them, hey, you can't bring the phone to the table. So they leave it away. But, you go to other houses and I don't judge people, like, hey, you could do whatever you want, whatever works for you. But the technology has really influenced, I think, the family culture and the family values, because everyone's on their, everyone's on this all day and at the dinner table, and they don't talk to each other. I call it phone zombies. Everyone's just staring in their phones all the time. And I think that's a huge issue. So you guys don't make fun of me, but I also, let me see how many people we have on the stream. Thank you for being here, guys. You guys don't make fun of me, but I also I don't allow technology in the bedroom. I always tell people, like, the bedroom is for two things. One of them is sleep. You can figure out the other one. And so you don't need your phone in there. We don't have a phone. We don't have a TV in our bedroom. Not because I can't buy one, but I don't want to sit there blindly watching TV. Again, no judgment. If you like TVs and tech in your room and your phone, go for it. But hey, just thought I'd share how we do it. All right, let's check in on Gavin. It's been a while.
Teachers, we're building on some supports in the past, but with resources that we've never had in the present.
He's going on for a long
future,
time today, by the way.
That's reflected in this education budget as well. $2 billion. $2 billion is also being proposed to get our kids back safely in-person instruction, 100% universally this fall, with the exemptions that are pre-existing in terms of exemptions that are as of right based on long-standing statute, meaning we want kids back in person this fall, full-time. And on June 30th, midnight, the statute in the state of California will make that crystal clear that that is indeed a requirement. But we want to back it up with support.
All right.
And we recognize we got a lot more work still to do to deal with anxiety, not just with teachers, but with parents.
Now, how about we get all that nonsense out of schools, like critical race theory?
To full-time in-person instruction, and that's why we're committing an additional $2 billion, building off the work that we did with the legislature and the incredible leadership of Pro Tem Atkins and Speaker Rendon. And I say that because I can personally lay claim to that, where they drove that $6.6 billion plan with their legislative leaders. And we want to build on that momentum and that incredible early support to support the health and wellness of our kids as we move back in-person instruction. One of the things we don't want to go back to is the experience we had last year. And that was the experience of recognizing the haves and have-nots, the divide, this digital divide. I guess the point is you can, play in the margins. You can continue to do what you've done, but you'll get nothing more than what you got. I have no interest in that, and I hope the legislature doesn't either. I know that Lena Gonzalez doesn't. I know that Aguilar Curry does not. They don't want to play small ball. They want to actually solve this. Broadband for all. Let's do this. $7 billion. Thank you to the Biden administration. Thank you for the federal dollars. This is an opportunity, back with some general fund money as well.
Little bailout.
Federal dollars.
Little bailout.
Finally close this digital
More money from the White House.
Not just for our kids. This could just easily be outside of the education agenda, but for our rural communities as part of an economic development strategy and connecting the dots in all parts of this state to build that middle mile, to build that last mile, to work with our tribal nations, address the issue of sovereignty, but still provide support. We can make this happen, and we're putting a significant amount of money to advance that cause. Let's get this done once and for all so that no future administration is talking about the scourge of the digital divide, and we don't have to go back to the old ways of thinking and doing. This is what the
Hey, listen, we don't mind expanding broadband. It's just how you're doing it and how that's going to happen. Yes, Heather Cliff, look, the legislature is like 70% Democrat, I think, maybe more. So this is kind of like, hey, whatever Gavin and the progressive left say is what they're going to do.
If we are successful with this proposal and the work that many legislative leaders have advanced and are underway. That said, we also believe that you should not end your your learning by...
Hey guys, welcome to the stream. If you're brand new here, if you're just jumping on, I want to thank you for being here. There's my screen. I want to thank you for being on here. I appreciate you. This is our reaction to Gavin Newsom's $100 billion Buy Your Vote plan. Oh, wait, that's not what it's officially called? I thought it was. No, it's not. But that's what it is. The recall election is coming. Gavin had to do something pretty dramatic. So he's got all these bailout funds from the federal government. He's got all this surplus money that he has to give back legally according to the U.S. Constitution. And so, to the California Constitution. And so here we go, the week-long tour of bailout money, of buying your vote, of how much money can we spend in all these different places, or how much money can we burn in all these different places. Because if I know one thing, it's that Gavin Newsom and California know how to waste money. I mean, if this was a private corporation that was doing this, it would be crazy. That corporation would be out of business. And Heather Cliff, he is so unauthentic. I don't get it. I know how he won. I think people weren't paying attention, and of course, it is California. So anyway, here we go. Let's tune back in.
I'm previewing it. More on that later, which will spell out our expectations of the state in relationship to our expectation of our systems of higher learning. Let's talk about UC. This is remarkable. $506 million of ongoing investments. Restoring the cuts that were made last year and increasing the base funding by 5%. $506 million ongoing. One time, $451 million. You can see that for deferred maintenance for issues important to me since I still struggle with dyslexia. The Dyslexia Center and the importance of the research, particularly at UCSF, and the incredible work they're doing in that space. We also believe California should be a no-kill state. I talked about that last year. We couldn't go as far as we wanted to. That's the UC Davis Animal Shelter Medicine Program. We believe we can accomplish that substantially.
It's insane to me how much money is wasted by the state. So this is a great comment by, is it Cho Idar or Ko Idar?
Increases
the waste
year. Put that in perspective.
is maddening. I mean, like I said, like I run a private business, so we evaluate every line item on our expense report.
That was the January budget for ongoing investment.
Every family has to do that, right? We have to evaluate, but the government, it's really just like unlimited spending here. And the way they spend the money, there's no accountability around it. It's most of it is just wasted, which is madness.
As it relates to the CSU,
always makes me crazy.
$596 million. Compare that to $200 million.
I mean, these are big numbers, guys. Big numbers. $1 billion is a lot of money. $100 million is a lot of money. $1 million is a lot of money. And they just throw these things around like, $10 million to the Computing Talent Initiative. What is that?
Significant investment, $433 million. We've been working with
Northridge,
that's
by me.
Incredible new leader at the CSU about this opportunity to revitalize the economy in Northern California in and around Humboldt State, and look at this opportunity to have a third polytechnic campus in our state. Deferred maintenance, you see the work on STEM Center down in Southern California. I want to thank Senator Padilla for his strong advocacy in that space. Mark Ridley, so many others that have called in on that. More computing talent, coding investments, and always more on professional development. By the way, that $1.4 billion on CSU does not include the $1.5 billion coming from the federal government. So on top of this, the federal government's providing direct $1.5 billion. You see $865 million coming directly, not represented in that number either. $3.6 billion for community college, where we'll fully retire the deferrals. There's a COLA. You could see the work to do more on zero textbook costs. This doesn't provide it universally, but put it in perspective. I think we put $5 million a couple of years ago, $15 million last year to address costs of textbooks, more open source textbooks, and to really go after improvements in this space and address the full cost of attendance. We're going to put if this is successful, $115 million into that space. You can see the work on dual enrollment, ESL, housing, basic needs, and more on that in a moment. By the way, let me just go back. One of the most significant things that we are doing as it relates to our higher education system is we're committing $4 billion for student housing. That's in addition to what we've just presented.
All right, guys, let's take a break. So, what do you guys think about the plan? The $100 billion. I'm curious. What do you guys think is going to happen at the recall election? question of the day. So, by the time the recall election rolls around, it's going to be November. And, I was talking about on one of my videos that it's going to be a while back from the French Laundry incident, from, by that time, everything hopefully will be reopened. What do you think is going to happen? Do you think, so there's going to be two questions on the recall election, by the way. First question is going to be, should Gavin get recalled, yes or no? Second question is going to be, you know what? Let's listen to the small business. You guys wanted small business. We'll get right back to that comment.
That are top of mind.
Let's listen to small business.
Infrastructure issues related to the economy. I want to remind people, we talk about California, we're rolling back 41% of America's jobs came out of the state of California in February, 275,000 plus, almost 276,000 jobs in February, March. Those are subject, by the way, to being adjusted, but those are the numbers that came out of the federal agency that give you a sense of California's recovery. Our employment is still too high. None of us are naive about that, and the impacts on small businesses over the last year have been profound, particularly in the food industry, hospitality, and entertainment industry. That's why, working with the legislature, we were very pleased with Senator Caballero, so many other leaders, to support an effort to provide direct grants of $5,000 to $25,000 for small businesses. We did $2.5 billion in early action. We want to build on that with an additional $1.5 billion that we're proposing in this budget to take care of so many of those that are applicants that haven't yet gotten vetted and haven't received their support. We also want to remind everybody of what we built a few weeks ago, and that was a framework over the next number of years, 5.5, almost 6 years, to provide a tax cut for small businesses, $6.2 billion. That was part of what we referred to as the PPP conformity. It's the largest tax cut in our state for small businesses, $6.2 billion. I want to thank Autumn Burke, others for their incredible leadership on that bill. And also we are providing hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars that I'll enumerate right here in grants and loans to businesses. We'll start with an $895 million appropriation that will come with the support of the federal government for a small business credit initiative. We are going to take our Cal Competes program from $180 million, we'll double the 180 to 360, and we're going to add $250 million as a one-time grant to expand those that are eligible under Cal Competes. That's the 430. As it relates to ports, we recognize ports have been impacted disproportionately as it relates to trade impacts associated with global slowdown in the economy because of this pandemic. Port revenue loss has been profound and significant. That's the $250 million. We're going to build on the successful Main Street hiring tax credit, $1,000 tax credits for people that retain or hire.
Okay, guys, so let me get back to my question, because basically a lot of small business stuff, not sure how it applies to each person. We'll see. So question for you. What do you think is going to happen in November? So by that time, it will have been, a year since French Laundry. It will have been a long time since the closures. People have a short memory. There's going to be two questions on the ballot. The first one is, should Gavin get recalled? Yes or no? Second question is, if Gavin is recalled, who should be elected? And then you're going to have your laundry list of candidates. So I want to ask you guys. Let's predict it. So what do you guys think? Will Gavin get recalled? I'm going to put this in the chat. Let me know, yes or no. I'm curious to hear what you guys think. And then second question is, if he is recalled, who will win? So I'd love to get your thoughts on this, and then I'm going to let you know what I think in just a second. Let's get back to Gavin. Then we'll come back to the two questions. Is he going to get recalled? And if he is, who is going to win? I'm curious. All right, let me know in the chat box there.
Economy, as well as bring tourists from all around the world across this country back to visit California. That 95 million we think will make a real impact. By the way, there are 5 or 6 legislators. Forgive me, I in peril of always forgetting 1 or 2. I want to thank you all. You know who you are, being strong advocates and proponents.
I'm checking the chat. We'll put that up in just a second. Keep going, guys. What do you guys think? Is he going to get recalled, and who's going to win?
$10,000 grants for businesses that candidly don't have access to credit or checking.
Thanks for
don't
indulging
have access
me.
to traditional means of getting funds. These are those smaller grants, many of them first generation immigrants, many mixed status as it relates to ownership, having a difficult time to access not just credit, but resources. The California Film Tax Credit, this is an opportunity for all of those productions, TV and others, in places like Georgia, whose values don't necessarily always align with the production crews, to consider coming back to the state of California, and that's what that $30 million intends to do. And yes, to all of you that ask almost on a weekly basis, what are we doing about SALT and the tax increase that the Trump administration imposed upon us and Mitch McConnell a number of years ago, that tax increase that impacted disproportionately large blue states like California. We're trying to address that tax increase of the Trump-McConnell era. And we have a partial fix, SALT, for S corporations, S corps, as they're commonly referred to. We're working with Speaker Pelosi, Senator Schumer, and President Biden to see if we can ultimately address that, though it is a tax that will ultimately sunset, or rather the SALT deduction limitations will ultimately sunset in just a few years if indeed they're unable to make earlier action or take earlier action. Speaking.
All right, let's see what you guys have to say on the two questions. The two questions are, will Gavin get recalled in November? And if he is recalled, who is going to win? So let's check that out. So you guys said, Cho said yes, he's going to get recalled. I love that. ATN said yes. Heather Cliff heads need to roll. Yes. JG, yes. And Caitlin will win. That's an interesting choice for sure. So Caitlin, I think, is doing pretty well already. The campaign video was pretty good. And then Heather Cliff says, I'm warming up to Cox this time. So John Cox, who kind of a sleepy candidate before, but got rebranded as the Beast. I like his new branding, actually. It's pretty cool. So he's a guy that, has been running a successful business for a long time. I like his ideas. We'll see what he says. Riva's got Caitlin all the way. Caitlin seems to be the popular choice here. Raphael says no, won't get recalled. And ATN, hard to know who would be elected. We have not heard from other folks yet. Yeah, a lot of people. I think there was a campaign video that came out from John Cox. There was one from Kevin Falconer, and then one from Caitlin. Sorry, I almost forgot. And so some of them are pretty good. I watched some of those videos. I think they're good. They have good ideas. We also got Major Williams, who's running. He's got some interesting ideas. Some other folks, perhaps Rich Grinnell may run, who was in Trump's cabinet. So some interesting candidates for sure. Assessor Principiante says, let's recall him right now. Oh, that'd be great. We'd love to get rid of him right now. And it's funny how what a short memory people have. I mean, this is the guy that shut down California for a year with all of this stupidity. And now, he wants to be the good guy and give away all this money because that is the Democrat way. Let's give away a bunch of free money. So here we go.
These grants in a way that we haven't allowed for or even afforded in the past. $1 billion for an endowment. This Learning Aligned Employment is an endowment that we want to provide that connects the dots between economy and where it's going and our institutions of higher learning. This is incredibly important as part of our 21st Century Compact with UC and CSU, that we start to be more prescriptive in aligning economic growth and opportunity to workforce development and curriculum. And that's what this $1 billion endowment proposes to do with work-study programs and apprenticeship programs that align and advance that cause. Here's something that's also important to me, and I hope a cause that unites all of us, and that's transitioning to a carbon-neutral economy. We're not playing small ball here. I hope people can appreciate.
What's up, Fiber Optic? How you doing?
Kern County. I hope folks in Kern County can appreciate, because Kern County will be the disproportionate beneficiary of $750 million of transitioning to carbon neutrality we are transitioning from the old ways of energy production and exploration to the opportunities that present themselves anew. It's remarkable. I was just driving through Kern County 48 hours ago, and within literally seconds, you're seeing hundreds and hundreds, appear to be thousands, but hundreds and hundreds of oil rigs. Seconds later, one of the largest solar projects in the world, not just the nation. So you see this contrast taking shape. What we want is to be there, support those in that transition, not rhetorically. People talk all the time about just transition and they walk away. We want to be there substantively to help with that workforce to transition to carbon neutrality. I'm going to talk more about another proposal we have in this place to back this up. But $750 million is not insignificant, and that's part of this package. Accordingly, we also want to build on some of the incredible high road training program partnerships that we have in the state, the amazing apprenticeship programs we have in the state, and you see a huge number there, $417 million to advance that cause.
So basically, guys, free money for everyone. Lots of money being thrown around here, lots of federal bailout funds, lots of surplus funds that have to go back to taxpayers. We will see how all of this goes, but basically this is the week-long I'm buying your vote campaign. And I read all of your responses here. Let's read this one. Fiber optic. This man is an abject failure. Let's give free housing to homeless folks and open the borders at the same time. Yes, of course, because then we'll get more federal bailout money. And Jay Gannon, where did Sacramento get all this money from? Seems like Cali got a backdoor bailout from 100%. Yeah, I mean, they're not even hiding it. They're getting a huge bailout from the federal government. And then they have a surplus because they overtax, because the taxes are insane in California. And so they have all this money. And by the way, according to the GAN limit, they got to give it back. And so Gavin wants to play the good guy, but he's got to give all this money back. So my prediction on this recall, man, it's so tough. I want, more than anything, to have Gavin recalled. The only issue is, can a Republican governor actually get anything done in California? Because the problem is up and down the roster of politicians, it's all the same nonsense. It's all the same, maybe worse people in there. And so that's the problem. It's really an issue. So we'll see. I don't know if by November there's still going to be enough steam behind this thing. People have such a short memory. And by the way, a lot of the people that really care are leaving or have already left. They're in Texas, they're in Florida, they're in Nevada, they're in Tennessee, right? And so, that's the problem. That's the problem. So we'll see. Let's listen in.
All coming out of the work around the Peace Corps and legal aid to the poor. We need to bring back that spirit. We need to bring back that narrative. And we need to bring back support for all of these incredible programs, Youth Works and all these other amazing volunteer initiatives out there through AmeriCorps and the like. And so that's what this proposal does, but it does it in a way we haven't been able to do in the past. This is really exciting. Looking at a minimum of 12,500 students to allow them to invest in community building projects, to invest in addressing some of the most vexing needs in their community, provide service, but also be rewarded for that service with stipends and scholarships. 450 hours for 9 months. This is something no other state's doing. This country should do this at scale with respect. If this country can get serious about this, we can solve 90% of the damn problems in this country. We just don't share common experiences like we used to. And while this is significant, I imagine we'd probably have to quadruple this in order to have the bigger, broader impact that we need. But nonetheless, it's a good place to start. Let's build on this, but this is an incredible opportunity. And I just want to thank Josh Friday, the whole Cal Volunteers team, and Spirit of Daniel Zingali and Maria Shriver, not just her father, Sarge Shriver, for the opportunity to make this proposal and presentation and provide this as an opportunity for the legislature to consider. Accordingly, we want to build on incredible youth volunteer efforts, but also job opportunities that are happening at the local level. I'm so proud that Michael Tubbs decided to join the administration in an advisory role. Former Mayor Stockton has been out front on issues of UBI up front in terms of summer youth job programs. I was talking to Mayor Garcetti, Mayor Garcia, Mayor Liccardo, and of course Mayor Steinberg and Libby Schaff and London Breed. I can go down the list, all of them saying, give us more support for summer youth jobs, even beyond the summer. Do some matching grants, and that's what the $200 million of matching grants are about.
So I'm imagining this is going to go on and on about all the money we're spending.
The opportunity not just to declare
and we will see what happens here.
Raise anxiety and create flexibility as it relates to issues of
yeah, Heather Cliff, that's right. The only shared experiences we care about are the ones we really want to hear, the ones that are like ours, if you agree with us.
Building on Senator Atkins and the Senate's incredible leadership as it relates to drought resilience and their proposals around water security.
Hey, look at that, a little super chat action today. So Reva, thank you so much for the super chat. We got some sound effects here. There it is, super chat.
Super chat.
And I want to say thank you very much. So guys, thank you so much. Reva, thank you so much for supporting the channel, guys. I will tell you that as much fun as I have with this, whenever I get the super chats and the super stickers and all that fun stuff, it helps support the channel, allows me to keep doing what I do here, and all the money is just reinvested right back into the channel. I got my full-time jobs for all my other stuff, like my real estate team and a couple other businesses related to real estate. So thank you so much, Reba, for the super chat. Again, we will put that up and we'll give you some other stuff. No, that's not a good one. Where's the super chat? There it is.
Super chat.
All right. Okay, let's hear what else Newsom's talking about.
So that $5.1 billion proposal. Speaking of a proposal, we talked about a $1 billion record investment in wildfire and emergency response. That is now $2 billion. We did $536 million of it as an early action. We're now making the largest investment in California history for new firefighting equipment. And these are the Black Hawk helicopters. We have 5. We got 4 more coming in very shortly. We got the C-130s
wildfires. We're finally maybe going to do something about that.
Forest health investment, vegetation management, home hardening. But the biggest increase, if you ask what's the difference between this proposal in January and the proposal we're making here today, it's a lot more investment into grants for community emergency response and resilience, more grants and supports for an all hazards frame, not just wildfires, but emergency response broadly defined. My wife wasn't woken up, she was awake 9:30 the other night with that earthquake that actually reached down into Fair Oaks, not just Truckee, a reminder of Mother Nature's fury, and we need to be prepared for the next earthquake, and that's why this includes a $17 million appropriation for the earthquake warning system and continuing to build on the supports that we've advanced for a course of many years and in January, but providing even more resources into this year. Looking at resources, we'll be rolling out a detailed strategy for a 22nd century electric grid. Will be coming out very, very shortly. We want to back that up with some real resources. You'll see $900 million here for the electric grid of the 22nd century. This is large-scale storage projects. This is about improvement of decarbonizing our industrial and food production plants. This is about green hydrogen. We're going to talk more about green hydrogen in this country, more about the fuels and the opportunity in the hydrogen economy. It's not just a consumer play. This is about large.
So guys, a lot of similar stuff going on here. I think we get the idea. Basically, what we're doing is we're going to spend a ton of money. We got money from a surplus from our budget because of the high taxes. Which is basically just income redistribution. We got money from the federal government. We're going to spend it on a lot of stuff. Mostly, we're probably going to waste a lot of it, burn it up, not do what we should do with it, and that is the story of California. But at the end of the day, what Gavin is really using this for is to buy your votes because there's a recall election coming, and Gavin needs to get all the support he can because he wants to get as far away from people hating him during the pandemic as he can. The question is, will it work? That is really the question. And so think about that for a second. Will it work? Will he be able to make everyone forget about shutting the schools and keep shutting the restaurants and the businesses and keeping you all at home for over a year based upon the Gavin Newsom science, not the real science? So guys, we'll tune out at this point. It's all going to be a lot of the same stuff. If you want to watch more of his press conference directly, you can find it online. But thank you for tuning into this one where we really covered it in a hopefully a little bit more of a fun way. And if I have my way, let's get Gavin recalled. Let's get a governor into California. Let's really change the political climate here. So thank you guys for being here. I really appreciate you. And I will see you guys on the next video. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for the super chats. And thanks for the support. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're not already. I'll see you guys soon.